Hello, welcome back. I'm Darren. And today, well, I don't even know where to start. So, FSR 3.1 was obviously launched. Was it the weekend? Friday? Saturday? I can't remember. A couple of days ago. Let's go with a couple of days ago. And there seems to be some kind of crazy fallout from it, which I kind of expected. And the reason is, if anything is criticised, obviously it causes retaliation, which is always pretty funny. I'm not going to lie, it does tickle me a bit. So it would appear that if in any way, shape or form you try to analyse anything, which I don't know a way around it, if a negative is brought up, you are a fanboy for basically the opposite brand. Well, I say that, but I don't know, because I've criticised Nvidia quite a lot, and I've never been called an AMD fanboy when I criticise Nvidia. So I'm not sure. I think it just works one way. It must be. Because I can write a list of things that I can criticise Nvidia with. Lack of VRAM, cost. The price of Nvidia GPUs has got extreme. And in doing so, they're probably writing a ticket for AMD to charge more as well. Nvidia pretty much have no low-end offering. Their low-end is pretty much borderline embarrassing and disgusting at the prices. Mid-range, even at mid-range, it's hard. You know, I mean, I'd probably, at most point throughout the mid-range, I'd recommend something like a 7900 XT over quite a lot. So, I mean, do you know what I mean? It's not like I don't criticise Nvidia. But, although it would appear by what I've read today, if you use a Nvidia GPU, you're not a gamer. I kind of do play games. I mean, I could probably show you through my Steam library. I've got quite a lot of hours in some games. So that's a new one. But the interesting thing that came out of it today is, because Nvidia, people retaliate, okay? So, you know, obviously, I don't think there was any, I use FSR. Now, I prefer to use DLSS if it's an option, but if it's not, I'll just use FSR and I'll just deal with it. So if I'm pointing out something that's negative, you know, a negative, like there's a bit of ghosting or there's a bit of something, it's not like it's like, oh my god, I can't use it, it's disgraceful, I'm throwing my GPU in the trash. It is what it is. But that seems to offend people to the point of they have to instantly retaliate, rather than just take it on the chin and say, yeah, okay, it's better than what it is, but it's got some work to do, but it is what it is. That to me would be the mature action, but obviously that's just not the way it's going to go. So here we are today, and I've seen some wild stuff. So it basically, the argument has now come down to, because the Nvidia people are fighting back at the negativity thrown towards them of, effectively, if you've said anything along the lines of it's still not as good as DLSS, which I don't think it is, but I don't think it can be, because I think AMD need to move into doing the same as DLSS, and what Intel have done, they need to start using AI in their upscalings. I hope they do. So they are challenged in that way. But if you've criticised anything to do with that, the fight back now is that it's free. So you don't pay for FSR, apparently, but you pay a lot for DLSS. And they're almost identical. But it even goes better than that. Apparently, it's a bonus feature. I, I don't know where to go with that, because I'm going to be honest with you. Clearly, if you've watched any of the videos, you know obviously the hardware that I have, and if you've played a game in the last year, especially with any of the new Unreal 5 engine games, you will know that upscalers are needed. A bonus feature. I mean, how can it be called a bonus feature? A bonus feature is something that you don't need to use. A bonus feature means, well, you're fine without it, but hey, if you want to throw it on, it's a little bit of a bonus. I don't understand that. Like, from what I'm concerned, you're paying for it. You are, when you're buying a GPU, you're not just paying for the hardware, you are paying into some of the software that comes with it. If you're going to say you're doing it with NVIDIA, well, you're doing it with AMD. The only argument is you will pay more for it with NVIDIA. And I get that, you will pay more for it, but how much more you pay for it? Who knows? You pay more for a NVIDIA GPU because they are the market leader. If AMD suddenly take the market in 2 generations, you'll pay more for an AMD GPU. That's the way it goes. I mean, are people like living under rocks or something and not realise that? You pay more for what is, what the market decides is the best. If it's the top of the market, then the market has decided it's the best product. And for that reason, it demands a higher price. You could get into a case where so many people hate NVIDIA because of whatever tactic they've come up with next, that AMD take the lead in the market, and you will end up, or you could end up paying more for an AMD GPU that has worse features. Like, go figure. So this, you're paying for it. I don't understand that. It's like, I mean, I can say it myself. Yes, you pay extra for the extra features because they are better features. Like, there's probably no denying it. I mean, the one you could probably argue with frame generation, because I think from what I've used with AMD's frame, I'm not talking about fluid motion frames. I don't rate that at all. But when you're talking actual FSR3 frame generation, that's very good. I mean, you're talking like proper micro picking FSR3 frame generation against NVIDIA. There's just those two little things, if you literally, like, you've got to almost slow motion it and zoom in, and you might see a little bit of extra artifacting. Probably the one thing that slightly lets down FSR3 frame generation is it really does need, from what I've tested, at least 60 FPS. I probably want to be closer to 70 to think about enabling it. And sometimes in some games, in new games, demanding games at 4K, getting to 70 can be quite a struggle. You might have to start turning down some settings from like epic or high down to like medium to get onto that point. But we will go through that soon, because I was kind of struggling with what content to come out with next. But after listening to and reading the comments today, and kind of the way they're said, has made me think this is the ultimate opportunity to kind of go through on my AMD system without using the bonus feature, apparently. So I'm going to run my AMD system without the bonus feature at 4K. And we're going to see how well we do without the bonus feature. Because, like I said, if it's a bonus feature, that means that you don't need it. So people are now trying to say that you don't need FSR. Apparently you don't pay for it, and it's a bonus feature. Okay. We're going to see how that goes. I already kind of know how it goes. So I might actually, as it's payday and there is a Steam sale on at the minute, I'm probably going to invest in a few new games, because go back a year or 2 years, that might not have been a problem. But now, in probably 60 to 80% of the games in my library, I'm using FSR or I'm using DLSS. There's no getting away from it. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. Now, like I said, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not running around the internet saying FSR is shit. I'm using it on my games. I play some games on the XTX and I'll just use FSR, and I'll just, even though it might be a game that I might think, oh, this looks a bit nicer in DLSS, it's not the end of the world to me. It's fine. But the way that people have kind of attacked people, it's like, I'm sure I saw something on YouTube before that Ancient Gameplays is he's going to do a breakdown over FSR 3.1. So if he pulls out something negative, is he getting hounded by his entire fan base as being a NVIDIA shill? Like, I don't understand where this is going. Every technology, unfortunately, I didn't have this. I've only just started this channel up. NVIDIA haven't come out with a technology that I can look into, deep dive into, nitpick into. So I haven't had the opportunity to go there yet, but I'm really shocked at some of the reaction. Or it's not even really a reaction. It's almost like, I don't know. It's like, oh, you've angered me by saying something about FSR 3.1, so now I'm going to just throw all of my toys out the pram and just attack anyone or anything to do with NVIDIA. Like, well, NVIDIA do a good job of digging their own grave, do you know what I mean? It's not like you don't have to go there. I don't understand the reactions. So, like I said, I was kind of struggling. I was thinking, what can I do this week for content? Because I probably should, but I'm not really sure. I just didn't have anything on my mind. And now seeing that apparently, because a lot of the arguments that were coming up was NVIDIA owners are attacking FSR to help them sleep at night, knowing that they overpaid for a graphics card which didn't have enough VRAM and has shit raster performance. Okay. So I'm going to use my 7900 XTX with its superior raster performance and its huge amount of VRAM, and I won't use the apparently bonus features, and we'll see how much that massive amount of raster performance and my 24 gigabytes of VRAM pulls me through the Unreal Engine 5 games that we'll run through. Because I can pretty much guess how that's going to go. But we'll find out. So there's probably not much point me dragging this on any further. That's kind of where it's at, really. Bit of a shame. I kind of don't want to get involved in it, but at the same time, I actually think, well, no, because there's too many people that are happy on trying to mislead other people with information like that. Do you know what I mean? When you see stuff like that, and there's people arguing that AMD doesn't need FSR, it doesn't need, it doesn't need upscaling, it doesn't need frame generation, it has superior raster performance, and it has enough VRAM. And if you don't know what they're saying, you might think that. And I'm not saying that the extra raster performance might not be helpful to someone. Like, obviously, if you're, and I've said it for a long time on this channel, if all you're interested in is playing competitive COD, just buy an AMD GPU, because my AMD GPU absolutely spanks my NVIDIA GPU in COD. It's not even funny. It hurts it real bad. So it's not like there's no truth in some things. NVIDIA do kind of get a little bit close to the kind of VRAM allowance in certain cases. I'm not going to argue that either. But if you think that the most powerful card AMD have produced, which I have sat here in the XTX, that because it's got 24 gigabytes of VRAM and it's got a bit of a raster performance advantage over NVIDIA, that I don't need to use FSR at 4K. We'll find out. So that is exactly what we will do. We will find out. And that's probably where I'm going to end it. Yeah, so we'll go through. We're going to start going through some games this week, and we're going to see probably. I know this is going to seem shitty, and I don't think I don't mean it to be, and I shouldn't react. But at the same time, I don't want people to be misled by information like that. So when people say you don't need FSR, I'm happy to throw content up saying maybe you do, and maybe you should take FSR into account. Now, I'm not saying don't buy an AMD GPU because of FSR, because for a lot of people they might not be that bothered about it. What I will say is when I have both sat next to me, there'll be one which I will tend to use over the other one, and the only reason I tend to use one over the other one is down to the upscalers. Now, that is my own, that's me. That's a me thing. That's a my problem. It doesn't have to be a problem for everyone else. But I don't think you should discount it, is what I'm going to say. So, well, I'll run through a few games this week. I've put the 4K monitor back on now, so we'll run through a few games this week, and we'll just check out if we need to use the bonus features that apparently we don't need to use, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I'll get some content sorted out, and I'm going to leave it there on this one. If you enjoyed this content, sweet. Maybe give me a like, and I'll catch you in the next one.